Bhushundi arrived under the banyan tree, mentally invoked Sri Ram, and then began the story. While Hanuman was away in Lanka, the rest of the monkeys on the other side were anxiously awaiting his return. They kept looking at the sky, and then suddenly they saw him arriving. As soon as he landed on the sand, his roar and his expression said it all. The first words that Hanuman uttered were, "I have seen Sita." Everyone was euphoric. The whole party set off for the journey back to Kishkindha. When Sri Ram saw them arriving from a distance, he could make out that their mission had been successful. Jambavan explained to Sri Ram that although all of them had gone together, the glory really belonged to Hanuman, because it is he who had accomplished the task. Sri Ram drew Hanuman into a tight embrace. Hanuman then gave Sita's Chudamani to Sri Ram and conveyed her message to him. Sri Ram pressed the Chudamani to his heart, and then, addressing Hanuman as son, he said that there was no one in this world, neither Devta, nor Muni, nor man, who was as rich in the spirit of seva as Hanuman was. Sri Ram said that he had nothing that he could give him which would in any way compensate him for the service that he had done. And Sri Ram said that he would be forever indebted to Hanuman. Hanuman was so overcome with emotion that tears streamed from his eyes, and he fell at Sri Ram's feet, crying out, "Protect me, Lord, protect me." At this, the keen-eyed kite in the audience had a question. What was Hanuman frightened of? What was he seeking protection from? "That's a very important question," said Kakbhushundi. Hanuman had received so much praise from Sri Ram that he was afraid of pride arising in his heart. He wanted to ensure that the thought would never occur to his mind that he had done anything great for Sri Ram. Then, continuing with the story, Kakbhushundi said that now that the whereabouts of Sita Devi were known, Sri Ram and the army of monkeys all set off. Very soon they had reached the seashore, and in the distance they could see Lanka. "Now," said Kakbhushundi, "let us shift our attention and see what was going on in Lanka in the meantime." Ever since Hanuman had set the city on fire, fear had gripped all the inhabitants of Lanka. No one had imagined that while Ravan was around, such an intruder could enter the city and cause so much destruction and grief. Everyone feared that the end of the Rakshasa race was near. Now, although people talked of this in their homes, nobody dared speak of it openly out of fear of Ravan. Mandodari, Ravan's queen, tried to reason with him over and over again. She pleaded with Ravan to return Sita Devi, to protect the kingdom and its people. But Ravan only laughed loudly. He took advice, or rather, he took criticism from Mandodari because he loved her very dearly. She was an extremely noble woman. But nobody else could have ever dared talk like that to Ravan, for he would have chopped off their heads. Ravan's ministers were fearful sycophants. The enemy was knocking at the door, and whenever Ravan asked them what should be done, they would laugh and say, what was there to fear? They would devour the monkeys and the bears. They had nothing to fear. Ravan was all powerful. There were just two people who gave Ravan sane advice. One was Malyavan, Ravan's maternal grandfather, who was also a minister in his court, and the other was Vibhishan, Ravan's younger brother. Both of them urged Ravan not to treat Sri Ram as an ordinary human being. They pleaded with him to return Sita Devi. They pointed out how just a messenger of Sri Ram had been able to do so much damage. What would happen when the whole army of such monkeys arrived along with their leader? Ravan was furious. He told Malyavan to get out of his sight and never appear before him again. As for Vibhishan, he literally kicked him and told him to go to Sri Ram if he had so much admiration for him. And Vibhishan did just that. So you see, said Kakbhushundi, it was Ravan who rejected Vibhishan, and not Vibhishan who forsook his brother. Vibhishan arrived on the other side of the sea and was pounced upon by monkeys who marched him off to Sri Ram. When Vibhishan set eyes on Sri Ram, he was overwhelmed because he had never seen such grace, such resplendence. He introduced himself as the brother of Ravan. He said that he was born in the Rakshas race and hence he was steeped in sin. But he had heard from Hanuman that Sri Ram dispelled all the fear and sorrow of those who sought refuge at his feet and blessed them with bliss. And it was having heard this that he had come seeking protection from Sri Ram. With these words, he fell at Sri Ram's feet, begging to be saved and protected. Sri Ram lifted up Vibhishan and embraced him tightly. Never had Vibhishan imagined that he could get so much love from Sri Ram. And then Sri Ram declared that the fruit of beholding him was the kingdom of Lanka. And he declared Vibhishan as king of Lanka and bestowed on him the gift of devotion. At that, a very philosophical peahen in the audience had a question. What does it mean to seek refuge in Sri Ram? And Kakbhushundi explained that, life has its ups and downs, and it is only those who are free from arrogance who recognize that despite everything they do, sorrow does not end. Then, feeling helpless and humbled, they turn towards Bhagwan, in whom they have complete faith, in his power, in his compassion, and in the fact that he will give them refuge. That is the attitude in which Vibhishan approached Sri Ram. Bhagwan is always happy when people seek refuge in him. It is ignorance, desire, pride, and delusion that keep the jiva away from Ishvara. But when the jiva realizes his mistake and approaches Ishvara, it is but natural for Ishvara to feel very happy. And thus Sri Ram gave refuge to Vibhishan and told him that it was to protect people like him that he took avatar, not merely to destroy the Rakshasas. And on that note, the story session for the evening came to an end. The birds bowed down to Kakbushundi with great reverence and devotion and flew off into the deepening darkness.